Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Hosey, Press Officer for the United States Consulate General in Chennai. On behalf of my colleagues here at the Consulate and American Center, I want to thank our guest speaker, Dr. Rita John, and I want to thank you for tuning in to our virtual conversation. I understand that several university students will be joining us, and we hope to hear from you. For the next 45 minutes, please send us your questions via Facebook, comments, and also include the name of your institution when you do that. I sincerely hope that you and your family members remain safe and healthy at this time. The United Nations designated today, April 21, as the World Creativity and Innovation Day. They did that to raise awareness about the role of creativity and innovation in all aspects of human development. Here to speak to us today about creativity and innovation through STEM is an author, physicist, and true innovator herself, Dr. Rita John. Dr. John joins us from the University of Madras, Chennai, where she heads the Department of Theoretical Physics. She has been teaching solid-state physics to graduate students for more than 18 years, and her book, Solid-State Physics, is used by graduate students all over the world. In addition to solid-state physics, she has more than 50 international publications to her credit, and she has received countless awards and prizes for her academic and research contributions. We also know her here at the U.S. Consulate General in Chennai because she was a Fulbright visiting professor in the Department of Physics and Astronomy at the Texas Christian University in 2014. So thank you, Dr. John. The screen is yours.
Thank you very much. I would like to greet all of you who have joined us online on the special occasion where we commemorate creativity and innovation in all spheres of our lives. And today I'm going to share my views on creativity and innovation in STEM. So what is creativity and what is innovation? Creativity is nothing but imagining or visualizing something which never existed before. So you can give your own explanation for creativity. You can give your own explanation of innovation. But ultimately, we need to be creative and we need to be innovative to be different from others. So now we are going to say how we are going to apply our creativity and innovation in our studies, in our work, in our research, in all that we do. We need to be creative. We need to be innovative. So what is STEM? So I would like to first explain to you what STEM is. Can I have the STEM slide, please? Thank you very much. Let's wait for the STEM slide. So STEM is actually a curriculum design. So STEM is the acronym for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So it is an interdisciplinary approach in the curriculum design, which the whole world is talking about in the recent past. So we cannot separate science, technology, engineering, and mathematics if you want to gain a holistic understanding of what you do. You may be doing science education, or you may be a technologist, or maybe a student of any of the engineering branches, or maybe you're a mathematician. Whether you're a scientist or a mathematician or an engineer, you need to have the holistic understanding of what STEM is or how they are interlinked with each other to do better in our studies and research. So let me first explain to you what science is. So all of us are familiar with the word science. We have been listening to our science teachers in school level, in the college level, And we come across various scientific activities and observations every single day. So when you step out of your house, you see a lot of things and you try to question yourself for the explanation for all your observation and experience. You can find the answer using principle of science or science as a tool. For example, you ask yourself, what is the reason behind all these beautiful colors around you? And what is the origin of wind? You feel the cool breeze and you're so happy about it. What is the origin of it? And what is the direction of flow of wind? And how heat is reaching from the sun and you feel so warmer? And you ask yourself a number of questions for all that you observe and experience. You deal with the fundamental principle of life or the phenomena that governs various activities in nature. So that is science. And technology is application of science. So here when you try to apply science for useful application or experiencing science in action, you need to have technology. Technology is very much user-friendly, but taking science to technology or bridging science to technology, you need to have the engineering. So let me explain to you with an example. So you can come out of the slide. I'll call for the next slide later. So when you talk about your technology, easiest thing for me to think is computation. A computation is a technology where you have an input device, you need to submit your data, and then it processes it. And then you can get the output. So there's the input, and what you get is the output. And most of the time, you do not know what is happening inside. You know to give the data, you need to receive, or retrieve the output. This is computation technology. But there are a number of devices, the chips, and the various circuitry, the connections inside, which are performing the operation of computation. And each of these components is doing specific function. So these components are designed by engineers. That is what we are calling engineering a component, engineering a memory device, engineering a chip specific to this application of computation technology. So once the engineers produce all these components or all these engineered materials are put together for a particular task called computation. So science decides the operation of each of the devices. So if you want to design or engineer a memory device, you must know the science behind saving data. The data can be in the form of binary zeros and ones, but how do you give that 0 and 1? And how you give it to the system and how do you save it? So you need to know the science of materials. And then you use your logical thinking, you use your creativity and innovation, design these components, and use your innovation and creativity, put them together, and therefore you achieve a particular technology. So now we have linked science and technology through engineering. Where is mathematics here? Mathematics is language of expression of science. You understand a concept and you put the concept in a mathematical form. So you relate to 2-3 parameters using equation. And you try to understand science. What is the parameter? What is the variable? If this varies, when I increase pressure, what would happen? So what is the relation between? If something is changing with time or something is changing with pressure, then you need to put the concept in equation form and you need to combine them. So mathematics is important over there. In the computation, you write your codes In coding, mathematical equations are involved. And therefore, from this simple example, we understand science, technology, engineering, and mathematics are inseparable components for holistic understanding. Can I have the next slide of a mango tree? Thank you. So here you can see the mangoes are very attractive. Technology is so it is very attractive and user-friendly. Even kids can operate with a computer. So that's how technology is user-friendly. But engineering is like the stem and the leaves of the tree, which need to connect various things and do various action. And ultimately you give fruit. And therefore, engineering is like stem and the leaves, where different components combine to achieve the task, that is to achieve that particular technology. But where is the root here? Invisible. But for the tree to yield very good fruit, for it to have stability and quality, the roots should be strongly and firmly rooted in that place, and it should supply food to the tree. So stronger roots will give healthier tree and healthier fruit. And similarly, very strong understanding of fundamental science would give excellent engineering materials, and that eventually will yield promising technology. And I already said, mathematics runs through all the three areas of science, engineering, and technology. And that's the reason we give so much importance for holistic understanding and STEP. Now, very quickly, let me give you the example from nanotechnology. I'm going to just tell you how nanoscience is yielding or is resulting in nanotechnology. Everybody is talking about it. So let me very quickly give you a couple of examples. So can you have a scale on the screen, please? The next slide. So here I'm just showing you the familiar system of units. So you can take a meter scale and divide it into 10 parts. One of the parts is 1 centimeter. You divide it into 100 parts. One of the parts is 1 millimeter. You divide it into 1 million parts. One of it is nanometer. So you may question, how am I to see that? Can I measure it? Is it useful? I want to tell you, yes, it is possible. Here comes innovation, creativity. So people have a next slide. Next slide, please. You can go to the next. Yeah. So these are some of the nano instruments. So nano instruments are specially designed to view all these nano structures, or to view something which is expressed in nanometer. I want to tell you it is 1 billionth of a meter. So let me give some of the examples from nature, where nature is teaching us the true science. So we cannot be going away from nature. Let's see what nature has to say about the nanoscience. Next slide, please. See, beautiful peacock. All of us love these colors, right? So now look at the peacock feather, and it has beautiful color gradation. You ask yourself, how this blue color gradation, the variation, so beautifully arranged? The reason is nanoscience. Here our understanding is nanoscience. So next slide, please. Nano instruments can be used to visualize this. So now look at this. It looks like ropes bundled together, but they are not ropes. They are actually the enlarged view using nano instrument of peacock feather. So they are two-dimensional crystals giving us different colors. Nano instruments are used, and photonics is the result of this. And next slide, please. Next slide, please. So this is a lotus leaf, and in the previous one. So the lotus leaves give beautiful effect. So water doesn't stay. What is the reason? Question yourself. Today's nanoscience tells us because of nanothorns. So nanothorns, they repel water, and that's the reason the lotus leaf has got this specific property. Next slide, please. And where do we apply this? This use the understanding of the science helps us to make nano paints, and you can have these paints on the ship which can cleave through water, and you save a lot of fuel. Next slide, please. Next slide. You see, this is the coral grazing parrotfish. It has excellent teeth. It lives on corals. And actually, the nano instruments reveal the structure of this, and which is having nanostructure. You can see on the right, and this is how the teeth looks, and very beautiful nanoscience. And we can apply this principle, which we learn from nature, and we can make pillars and devices which will be very strong, but when you carry it, it will be very light. This is the next slide, please. And this is how we learn science, and we learn science from nature, and then we put it in action as technology. So science and technology are related like this. And now we would like to play a video for you. And it is by Dr. John Chris. And this is about the future of nature. So please listen to this video. And you can post your questions based on what I discussed with you and on the video. We'll be very happy to answer your questions.
I've been spending the last 30 to 35 years of my professional life exploring the tropics on every continent around the world and every type of tropical habitat there is. And what astounds me is every time I go back to the tropics, I find something new. I find a new species, I find a new interaction, or interactions between species, I find some type of new environment. It seems to me endless. I could be exploring the tropics probably for 100 years if my body would stand it. We now know as scientists that life has been evolving on the planet for 3.2 billion years. Over that time, millions of species have evolved and millions of species have gone extinct. We estimate right now that about 10 to 20 million species inhabit the planet right now: plants, animals, microorganisms, fungi. We don't know the exact amount because the task of describing and naming and identifying all the animals, plants, and microorganisms on the planet is immense. But if you go across the mall to the Smithsonian Institution, there's hundreds of scientists doing that right now. But if you go to the tropics, actually you don't have to go to the tropics, you can go to Rock Creek Park here, and look at nature, you find that it's not just the number of species, it's really how those species are interacting that makes up the basis of all nature on the planet. This is an example of a project that I've been doing with a postdoc in the country of Costa Rica in Central America. There are about 200 beetles pictured here and about 100 plants. Those beetles feed on those plants. If we just added up the 200 beetles and the 100 plants, we'd have 300 species, and that would be a certain level or a certain measure of diversity. But each of those beetles has a specific interaction with each of those plants. So when you look at the actual interactions, you're looking at a magnitude or two magnitudes more of diversity and complexity. And that's really what nature is about, this complexity. And that's what a lot of us are trying to understand. But that nature is being subjected to a lot of pressures right now. A lot of pressures primarily caused by humans. And I'm sure everybody in this room is aware of the fact that because of expanding populations, expanding activities, natural habitats are being degraded, and species are being subjected to pressures that are the magnitude of pressure that they really have not undergone in the millions of years that they've been on the planet. And because of those pressures on these species, the rates of extinction are increasing. We can calculate what basic rates of extinction have been when there were no people on the planet, and we now estimate, because of things like habitat degradation, of climate change, of exploitation of species, of pollution, of disease, of invasive species, all these things together are increasing the rates of extinction to 100 to 1,000 times greater than they've ever been, let's say, over the last 50,000 years. Now, you can think of extinction as an abstract thing, but it's not abstract at all. It's hard to actually see extinction happening, but I have one good example. I have a postdoc working with me, Craig Costian. He's been working in a series of islands in Micronesia called Palau, documenting and looking at all the species there, particularly the trees, monitoring them, tagging them, looking at them over the years. And he's found several rare species. And he went back to Palau after being gone for a year. A typhoon had hit Palau, and the last 2 individuals of one of those rare species died. So Craig actually watched a species go extinct. Now, that's something that a lot of us don't do, but it is not abstract at all. This is happening as we're watching it. But another interesting thing is happening, which we might think is a good thing, and that's urbanization. And I'm sure, again, all of you have heard about urbanization. People are actually leaving rural, and in some cases, quasi-natural habitats and moving into cities. In fact, at such a rate that over 50% of the current human population on the planet lives in cities. These are the mega cities. These are like Sao Paulo in Brazil. These are Mumbai in India. These are Jakarta in Indonesia. These are Guangzhou in China. People are moving to the cities, and we might think that's great. Get the people in the cities, get them out of the natural habitats, and that sort of degradation of those habitats will cease, or at least change or decrease in some way. Well, that's unfortunately not true. Those people in those megacities still have to eat, and so those natural habitats are being changed into agricultural. But more importantly, and I think has a big impact on the future of nature, is the fact that as people move to the cities, their interaction, their exposure to nature radically decreases. And if people don't know about nature and they don't have any interaction with nature, then they begin to appreciate nature less, and they certainly don't care about conserving nature because it's not a part of their life. Now, this is something I've been thinking about for a while. So a number of years ago, a few of us, myself and 2 computer scientists, one at Columbia University and one at the University of Maryland, started thinking, well, how can we start to change things? We do know that, for example, in China, in that city of Guangzhou, that megacity, 95% of the males under 19 years old are nearsighted. They're nearsighted. Why do you think they're nearsighted? I'm sure you all know. Because they never go outside. They're looking at their smartphones, they're looking at their computer screens, and their eyeballs are changing. So they only can see close up, they can't see far away. Now, what is that going to do in terms of their perspective on nature or anything outside those windows? This is a big issue. So we started thinking about what we can do, all this technology, all this nature. Well, let's bring the technology and the nature together. So about 5 years ago, we started working on using image recognition technology to create something that would bring people looking at their smartphones into nature. And we created a thing, a free app. If you have an iPhone, I'm sure everyone here has an iPhone in their pocket. I happen to have an iPhone in my pocket. You can go download LeafSnap, and what LeafSnap does is essentially brings nature to you through the technology. You can use it as an electronic field guide if you want to do something as simple as that and scroll through species and learn about them that way, even without seeing them. Or you can use the power of image recognition technology to actually let the smartphone work for you. And what LeafSnap will do is you take a picture of a leaf of a plant you're looking at, you snap that leaf, that image goes up to our database with thousands of images of known trees. Back within 30 seconds comes an identification of that tree. Then you can go to the description of that plant in the iPhone, look at it, learn something about it, and then as soon as you label it, the location where you found that tree and the identification goes up to our database. And so we're keeping track of all the trees that people that use LeafSnap are looking at. And is this working? I mean, this is trying to bring nature to people and people to nature, and is it working? Even though LeafSnap has only been around a few years, over 2 million people have actually downloaded the software in 172 countries around the world. And these are just a map of where people are taking leaf snaps. What's amazing to me is we created Leaf Snap so that it would only work for trees in the northeastern United States. So here are people in Tierra del Fuego using Leaf Snap, in Greenland using Leaf Snap, to learn something about nature. So it indicates that, yes, people do want to know about this. Now, that was such a good technological interaction with nature that we decided, let's go one step further. Let's just not use images. Let's use genotypes. Let's use the genome of species to actually identify them. And what we've developed at the Smithsonian with a lot of other scientists is something we call DNA barcoding. And where before you had to take a picture of the organism or the leaf, with DNA barcoding, all you need to do is take a tiny little tissue sample. Take a hair, or take a leg off an insect, or take a little piece of leaf tissue, send it through the DNA sequencer, and out comes the identification of that species. Now that's fantastic. We can do this in all kinds of ways. What's even more fantastic is what's in my other pocket. This little thing. It's called a MinION, made by Oxford Nanopore Technologies. This is all we need right now. The MinION will take a small tissue sample, we'll extract the DNA, we'll take one DNA molecule, send it through a nanopore. That's a tiny little hole, and out comes the sequence on the other end. It hooks up to your laptop computer through its USB port. It's a fantastic thing. Now, it doesn't work as well as I'm saying it does, but it will. It will, and I'm convinced that this is the technology that's going to bring this identification and bring our ability to understand nature, know nature, closer and closer and closer to each of you. Every one of you will have one of these in your house, probably in the next 10 to 15 years. Because we use this, if we go back to this idea of complexity of nature, it took us 5 years, that postdoc, Carlos Garcia and I, 5 years to figure out all those interactions between those 200 beetles and those 100 species of plants. What we can do now with the MinION, with DNA barcoding, is we can go into the forest, we can take a beetle, we can throw it in the blender, grind it up, extract its DNA. I know it sounds cruel, but it's not that bad. We can not only identify the beetle, we can identify the plants that beetle ate that day. Now that sounds good for egghead scientists like me, but when your child swallows a plant and you don't know if it's poisonous or not, you don't have to grind up your child, you can just take something out of the stomach. You can then identify that plant using your MinION, and it will tell you if you have to worry about that or you don't worry about that. Or if you go to Whole Foods and you take that bottle of herbal supplements off the counter, you want to make sure you know what's in there. You can take the MinION, you can tell exactly what's in that bottle of ground. This is the power of technology linked with nature that I think is going to be what's maybe going to help us continue to preserve nature on this planet. Now, the MinION is not available yet. It's still in the test phase. So what you're seeing here is really looking into the future. But I want you all to remember this, and when you see one advertised in the Washington Post, go get it. Thank you very much.
So, welcome back. Hope all of you enjoyed the video, and it was wonderful and interesting. And Dr. John brought out a very important point to note today, especially when we are talking about creativity and innovation. He's worried about the nature. Where are we heading to? Because we learned pure science or fundamental science from nature, and we put it in application as I discussed in my session. Now he is talking about the interlink between species in nature and beetles and the different plant kingdom and how they are living together. But now we are moving towards spoiling their life, and we are disturbing that ecosystem. So he's very beautifully saying that we are drawing ourselves away from nature. So now what is the solution? Here comes the creativity and innovation. He says, all of us are addicted with the iPhone. So why don't we make use of that technology and take people closer to nature. He wants to apply the reverse gear and take them back to nature using the same technology and the same thing what they enjoy every day. So that's why he has introduced a technique called image recognition technology. So now we are moving in the reverse direction, technology to science. So yeah, I want to again tell you, I was talking about science to technology, and Dr. John Chris talked about technology back to science. So all that you need to do is take the photograph and you send it to the database, and the database will tell you what it is, and you will also add information to the database of the location of different species. And then he went ahead with one more step and he talked about DNA recognition. It's still one step further, little higher technology. And why don't we just take the genome and try to find out the nature of the species? So going really closer and a better understanding. And how he finally finished with MINOIA. It's not yet fully in use, but he says nanopores can be used. So these nanopores can be created in the lab. All that you need to do is you extract DNA and give that as the input, and you extract the output which will give you the DNA sequence. Beautiful technology to understand fundamental science. So this is how STEM works. Science to technology using engineering mathematics as a link. And now technology back to science, better understanding of science. So in my opinion, the next slide, please. So in my opinion, it should be a cyclic one. Understand science, apply it, and use your creativity and innovation, and come with a beautiful new technology, and use your technology to understand better science, because nature has many things which we have not discovered, we have not understood. So let's give importance to STEM. We use science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Mathematics is very much used in all this coding. And STEM is the answer if we have to, if you have to solve the issues of problems with the nature and the extinction, pollution, and all that thing. So let's be creative and innovative in doing better science and safe technology. And therefore, we enjoy doing STEM, which gives us the holistic understanding. So now I would be very happy to take a few questions, and you can post your questions, and we will take some of your questions, and we'll try to answer. So thank you so much. So let's continue the discussion. Please give your questions. So you can send your questions and we would be happy to answer.
Hi, Dr. John. This is Kathleen Hosey again.
Hi, yes, I can hear you. I can see you.
I was wondering if you could speak about the M in STEM and how mathematics is the language of science.
See, actually, mathematics is the language of expression of science. So in science, especially physics is the fundamental science. And we come across equations. And the students listening to me, you don't like equations. Most of you try to memorize equations because you don't think it is mathematics. So when you combine two terms and you weight it, and that is a mathematical expression. So when you increase your potential, current increases. So which is the base and which is how much it is increasing. And then something is varying, so we call differentiation calculus. So you try to explain this depends on that, or this varies with that. That is differentiation, simple mathematics, and you graphically represent. In stock market, you see the graphs, and you switch on your TV, the graphs. Mathematics, understanding of fundamental concept, it's expressed in mathematics, using graphs and the variations, and which gives clarity of understanding. So that's the expression of fundamental idea is mathematics.
We've received a question online from one of our viewers. Her name is Eugenia Pinto, And she wants to know how nanoscience can help in the fight against coronavirus, COVID-19.
See, this question, people are still fighting out coronavirus, and we don't have any absolute answer at this point of time. But nanomedicine has been, am I audible? Yeah. But nanomedicine has been a promising tool in fighting out various other diseases. So hopefully something would come out of nano medicine or nanotechnology. And right now, I don't have specific answer for this question. Perhaps in future, somebody would come out using nanotechnology.
Viewers, please send us your questions. In the meantime, I will ask a personal question. Dr. John, I am delighted by nature around me here in Chennai, and what I think are beautiful signs of spring, fruits on trees, flowers blooming, blue skies, blue waters. In the video we watched, the gentleman mentioned an application called Leaf Snap. First off, I wrote that down. I might attempt to use it from home in identifying some of the fauna in Chennai near my house. But I was wondering if there are also some resources you recommend to our viewers that, you know, or technology that helps connect us with our surroundings here.
Thanks for posting this question. So actually, this is how we should take people back to nature. So we protect and we live together and we live with the nature. So actually, the image sensing technology which he was talking about is one of the ways of finding the answer or finding or understanding the species better. Actually, there are a number of databases. I'm a physicist and not a biologist, but still I know there are a number of databases are available, and there are platforms for this. So once you get into the platform and try to extract the information, actually they will take your information, and then the database matches and gives you the probable ideas of the species around you. And they will also take your data back. And in some of the cases, there are interactive modes where you can interact with the people, and specialists will be able to give you the answer, and you would be able to work collaboratively with the people who work on this. There are platforms for that.
So thank you, Dr. John. We have a few questions coming in on Facebook. How do we emphasize the importance and understanding of science in primary school education?
I really love this question because they should be taught the right science with the right approach when they are young. So the children at the primary level should understand things and learn. But unfortunately, we overload them with a lot of information where we don't give importance for hands-on experience. So you should take them out and give them experience and then let them learn. And here you can use the creativity and innovation where they can use the smart phones, computers, and now the schools are provided with even smart boards. But how creative we are in using them and how we make it interesting for the kids. And so this the rote learning system should totally change, at least in the primary education level. And I should be thankful for the one who has posted this question. I use this platform to request all the teachers in primary level, take the content. The children are not going for a public examination. So take the content from the book. Use your creativity because every child is different and every school is different. So we need to personalize the ideas and then reach out our kids and give utmost importance for hands-on experience and use technology appropriately to create the curiosity in children. So curiosity-driven learning is the best way to understand science at the primary level.
Yes, another individual who's watching us online is asked the questions, can you say the importance of practical education for empowering creativity and innovation? And what kind of system of education do you suggest we follow to unleash this creativity in our children?
So this question is also related to the previous question we answered. See, experimenting, anything in life is important. So we cannot impose things. I'm very much saddened when I heard that in some schools, even the practicals are not done with the spirit of doing the practicals. So the students are burdened with that. So again, what I want to tell you is, please space it out. So if 10 practical are given, please space it out. And concept building is very important before you put them in the lab. So give them the concept and make them understand. And you can even make them write using their own language, the way they have understood the concept, and then experiment it. Then it will be very interesting. So don't take them to lab without understanding the concept and the principle behind the particular experiment. So only then you can create interest in the kids.
Dr. John, Satish Kumar asks if it's possible to identify COVID-19 by having a mobile phone with us. Now, maybe you could speak to some of the, to his question, and also how mobile technology is assisting us right now.
Okay, so it's a good question because everybody is talking about it. But again, I want to tell that nothing is totally explored. So it is premature for us to give any conclusive answer. But everybody is experimenting. So identifying a COVID virus right now is not possible with a cell phone. Of course, again, including other viruses, there are databases where you can give all the symptoms. So you can give the symptoms and it would say what is the problem or what is the probable disease you're suffering with. But as far as the COVID-19 is concerned, since it is taking different dimensions in different countries and still people are trying to identify and the proper medication and the vaccination, we cannot develop any coding system for the COVID-19 without a complete understanding of it. Because some people don't have any symptom, but still they are carriers of the virus. So at this time, coding for COVID-19 virus and identification would be too premature and it might mislead people. So we need to wait for some time. So let people explore with all the data and all the inputs in a couple of months. And then, yes, if somebody could take it up, it would be wonderful so that we can see to that it doesn't appear again.
Earlier in your presentation, ma'am, you mentioned nanorocks. Could you explain a little more about nanorocks, nanoscience, and how developed nanoscience technology is here in India? We received that question.
The nanoscience is very much interesting because nanomaterials can show different features, the surface. So when you prepare a nanomaterial, the surface, appearance of the surface is important. Sometimes it looks like a flake. Sometimes it looks like a rod. The structure, the same material, for example, zinc oxide, it can have a flake-like appearance. When you see through nano instruments, you will not be able to see with the naked eye. And it may have the appearance of sticks or the rods. The same chemical composition, just the appearance would give different properties. So this is very interesting. So there are two different approaches, and a number of books are available, and ebooks are also available if somebody is interested, and it's an excellent topic for them to explore. So the answer is different appearance of the surface give different properties.
We received a question from a teacher, I believe, I'm assuming we have an instructor online, who was wondering about creative ways to engage his or her students without having access to computers, mobile technology, how to get them into STEM and to be creative in the classroom.
See, actually, being creative is not only using a technology. You can be creative to explain something with what is available in your hand. Even with a simple paper, you can show something and you can demonstrate and make it very interesting for the kids. Yes, you can make use of plays, and you can help the students and make them participatory learning. Participatory learning is the best way to understand. Yes, I do accept. So depending on the interest of the teachers, they can be very creative. And being creative and innovative is making use of their potential and expertise. And that's it. They can do that.
Yeah, I agree. There are simple things in our homes, in our houses, if you have access to your patio or your yard right now during this period of quarantine, that you can explore with your children especially, and be creative at this time. I'm doing the same in my home with my children. A gentleman by the name of Abdullah Sharif has asked this question. The Minion is a groundbreaking piece of technology, but there are some points to ponder. How costly the technology is matters. The compatibility of that invention matters. And with useful inventions, there will be a rise of misuse of that technology. So how possible is this? I don't know if you can speak to the Minion technology.
So Minion technology, again, he himself mentioned, Dr. John himself mentioned that it is under development. They have not totally completed the project. And again, I want to tell this research, of course, anything can be misused. Any technology can be misused. There's always an element of warning with all technology possible. So it is with the user. And as long as the animal ethical committees or the relevant ethical committee of research permits, absolutely no problem in developing such technology. And somebody is responsible, that the person who's using is responsible for the effective and positive usage of any technology. And extracting a DNA and giving us an input to nanopore, yes, it is under process. And as I said, if the ethical committee permits, they would go through all the negative aspects of it, and only then they will permit. So when it is permitted, then somebody can use it. But when it comes to the cost of the technology, as I already mentioned, it is still under development. So only when it is fully developed, we will know about it.
So ma'am, I think we'll take one more question. Guru Kasi asks, in India, people pursuing interdisciplinary studies are valued less. How is the scope of interdisciplinary studies in India? For example, biotechnology is not preferred when it comes to job opportunities.
I totally agree with you, because we have a lot of rules and regulations in India. See, now the scenario is slowly changing. The online courses are permitted. Even the University of Madras allows students to take up online courses from other institutions, and online courses from IIT, IISc, and even some of the foreign universities. And when they submit the grade, and it is accepted, and they are given degree, and so such courses can be done. But the only thing is, the students should have a common focus. So if they are going to be a master in a particular subject, the minimum number of courses to master the particular subject is essential. In addition to the core courses, they can take, yes, any number of courses, and multidisciplinary approach. There are a few curriculum developed in few colleges and universities which really has a multidimensionality in it, but not in all. So, yeah, I just want to make a mention that as per the UGC norms, the regulations of universities, and there should be at least 70% of the content in the core subject. So if you are a biotechnologist, then 70%, at least 65 to 70% should be related with core component of biotechnology. The remaining 30, yes, but you cannot violate this rule. This is just to ensure that you are mastering a particular field of education. But taking grades from other universities and online courses, absolutely no problem. All universities are opening it up. And UGC is also permitted.
Yes, we're also seeing here at the U.S. Consulate General in Chennai, we are promoting massive open online courses that are being taught by leading U.S. universities, including one that we're promoting this week, the Harvard University's online course called The Health Effects of Climate Change. If some of our viewers are interested, we'll be posting that information. You can Google it. These courses are available at www.edx.org. It's a brilliant way to make use of your time right now to avail yourself of these free online instructions. Also, for tuning in to today's master course with Dr. John. Thank you, ma'am, so much for joining us in a discussion of creativity and innovation through STEM. Thank you. And to our viewers, thank you for tuning in. We will be bringing to you more of these virtual presentations over the coming days. Tomorrow we will, in honor of the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, we will be hosting a quiz led by Arun Krishnamurthy, who is the founder of EFI, the Environmentalist Foundation of India. He is making time away from all of his incredible volunteer efforts to lead a online real-time quiz testing your knowledge on wildlife, climate, rivers, water body health. Please do join us tomorrow at 3 p.m. on Facebook for that. So in closing, Dr. John, if you want to impart a few closing words, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much. And I would like to congratulate the entire team for organizing this wonderful session on creativity and innovation in STEM, and which is need of the hour. I just want to tell all the viewers, and whatever you do, always think of holistic understanding and before venturing into anything. So that will be useful, for which you need to be creative, you need to be innovative, and explore. The world is yours. So STEM helps, and therefore let's give importance to STEM and explore, and the world is ours, and we will have a very safe future. And thank you very much again, and wish all our viewers a very happy endeavor with STEM.
Thank you, Dr. John. Couldn't have said it better. Take care, everyone. Stay healthy and stay safe. From the U.S. Consulate General here in Chennai, thank you.